Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag has confirmed that 4 first-team players are in contention to return for tomorrow night's clash with Sevilla in Spain. Luke Shaw, Tyrell Malaysia, Marcel Sabitzer and Marcus Rashford have all been included in the 21-man squad that travelled to Spain earlier today, meaning they could all feature in some capacity. News of Rashford's imminent return is a particular boost, with the Reds in need of some extra attacking output. Sabitzer, meanwhile, has shaken off a groin problem that forced him to pull out of the starting lineup at Nottingham Forest on Sunday. The Austrian scored twice in last week's first leg against Sevilla at Old Trafford. Despite the quartet being included in the squad, Ten Hag has confirmed that late decisions on each of them will have to be made tomorrow. He said, "They're available because that's why they're in the airplane, but I will take my decisions tomorrow. Today, they are training. We will see what the reaction is and we will take the decision. We have all particular decisions." Ten Hag made the above admission during his pre-match press conference shortly after 7 p.m. British Summer Time on Wednesday evening. You can recap everything he had to say by scanning through the blog below. 2025 George Smith. That's a wrap. We're going to call time on this evening's press conference live blog here, folks. Thanks for following us this evening. Stay tuned to the MEN website for all the pre-match build-up to tomorrow night's clash with Sevilla. 1950 key event. Ten Hag issues injury update on quartet. United manager Erik ten Hag has confirmed that he will make a decision on the likes of Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford tomorrow. The duo, along with Tyrell Malaysia and Marcel Sabitzer, are part of the 21-man squad that has travelled to Spain for tomorrow night's Europa League quarter-final second leg against Sevilla. Malaysia, Shaw, Sabitzer and Rashford have recently been sidelined through injury. 1929 George Smith. That's a wrap. That concludes Erik ten Hag's and Christian Eriksen's press conference. Stay tuned to the MEN website for all of the reaction. 28 George Smith Eriksen on Carroll's tackle back in January 1927. George Smith Ten Hag on how United can deal with Sevilla. 1926 George Smith Eriksen on what to expect from Sevilla. 1925 George Smith Ten Hag on Sevilla's crowd and home atmosphere. 1924 George Smith Eriksen praises Sabitzer. 1923 George Smith Ten Hag on De Gea's form this season. 1921 George Smith Ten Hag on progression. 1918 George Smith Ten Hag on if any injured players will return. 1916 George Smith. Away we go. Finally, Erik ten Hag and Christian Eriksen are now in position and we shall begin. 1912 Samuel Luckhurst. The wait goes on. United touched down at Sevilla Airport at 7:22 p.m. Spanish time. The press conference was down to start at 7:45 p.m. Erik ten Hag, Christian Eriksen and United staff have only just arrived. 18:55 George Smith. Nothing to report. We're still waiting for the press conference to start. It is not uncommon for these things to start later than originally planned, especially when overseas traveling is involved. 18:40 George Smith. A slight delay. This evening's press conference is going to kick off slightly later than originally scheduled. It is understood that United's flight to Spain landed slightly later than expected. Hopefully, it won't be too long a delay. We will keep you posted. 18:30 George Smith 15-minute warning. United manager Erik Ten Hag and midfielder Christian Eriksen are scheduled to start speaking to the media at 6:45 p.m. UK time. Keep the blog locked for live updates of their press call. 18:15 George Smith United's Europa League adventure so far versus Real Sociedad. H. 0-1 versus Sheriff Tiraspol. A. 2-0 versus Ammonia Nicosia. A. 3-2 versus Ammonia Nicosia. H. 1-0 versus Sheriff Tiraspol. H. 3-0 versus Real Sociedad. A. 1-0 versus Barcelona. A. 2-2 versus Barcelona. H. 2-1 versus Real Betis. H. 4-1 versus Real Betis. A. 1-0 versus Sevilla. H. 2-218. Tyrone Marshall opinion. United need the perfect plan for Marshall and Rashford this week. 17:45 George Smith Eriksen to join Ten Hag. United midfielder Christian Eriksen will join Erik Ten Hag to speak to the media in this evening's press conference. 17:30 George Smith Sevilla star fires warning at United. Sevilla midfielder Ivan Rakitic has warned United's players that they will be in for a stern test when the two sides meet in the second leg of their Europa League quarter-final at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium tomorrow night. The tie is nicely poised at 2-2 following last week's first leg at Old Trafford, in which Sevilla fought back from 2-0 down to claim an unlikely draw. United are still considered the favourites to win the tie and progress to the semi-finals. However, Rakitic has warned the Reds that a difficult challenge awaits them. 17:20 George Smith latest Europa League winners odds courtesy of Bet365. These are the latest odds for who they think will win the Europa League this season. 17:05 George Smith United squad confirmed for Sevilla trip. United have announced their 21-man squad for tomorrow night's clash with Sevilla, confirming that Marcus Rashford will be involved. The England international has missed the Reds' last two matches after being forced off during the second half of the 2-0 win over Everton on April 8. Meanwhile, Luke Shaw and Marcel Sabitzer have also made the cut, giving United a triple injury boost. George Smith welcome along. Good evening and welcome along to our live coverage of Erik Ten Hag's pre-match press conference ahead of tomorrow night's clash with Sevilla in Spain. The United manager is scheduled to start speaking to the media at 6:45 p.m. UK time. Keep the blog locked for all the very latest.